Hi, welcome to FinFlow Podcast. Today we're plunging headfirst into a source that's, well, it's bound to spark some serious self-reflection, I think.
Oh, definitely. Whether you're new to these kinds of ideas or you've been mulling them over for years.
Exactly, we're unpacking fascinating insights from something quite provocatively titled Pathways to Prosperity, Habits of the Rich and Poor.
That title alone grabs you, doesn't it?
It really does. And look, this isn't your typical dry financial advice manual, not at all. Instead, it presents this intriguing and, let's be honest, pretty direct premise.
Very direct.
It's a list of habits that, according to this source anyway, supposedly differentiate people who are struggling financially from those who are, well, thriving.
Yeah, it offers a kind of framework, a shortcut maybe, to understanding what might be holding people back.
Or, on the flip side, what might be propelling others forward. So get ready for some potentially serious aha moments, maybe some surprising facts, too. Stuff that might just make you rethink your daily routine.
Or even your fundamental approach to things, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's unpack this.
So what's fascinating here, right from the start, is that the source material itself includes this really significant, crucial caveat. It says it right up front.
Which is important, definitely.
Very. It urges you, the listener, to take these observations with a grain of salt. It actually uses that phrase, and it explicitly acknowledges there are plenty of exceptions. Plenty.
So it's not presenting these as, like, universal laws.
Not at all. So our mission today isn't really to endorse these claims or, criticize them outright. We're not here to judge.
Right.
Rather, we're here to explore the arguments presented within the source, to sort of unpick the logic behind them and maybe consider their broader implications for, personal growth and, yes, financial well-being, too.
It's about looking inward, isn't it? Maybe spotting patterns in our own lives that we might want to think about or reconsider.
Exactly. Self-reflection, not judgment.
Exactly. It's not about shaming anyone. It's about illumination, maybe sparking some thought. So we're going to journey through 15 key habits that the source claims distinguish the poor from the rich. That's its terminology.
And then there's that bonus one at the end.
Oh, yeah, the bonus insight. The one the source apparently held back because it thought it might be a bit controversial.
Which adds a little intrigue.
It does. So for each point, we'll discuss what the source says poor people do that rich people supposedly don't. We'll dig into the underlying principles it suggests and what that might mean for you listening right now on your own journey.
Keeping an open mind is key here, I think.
Absolutely. This is really about sparking thought, maybe identifying potential areas for personal improvement. So let's dive in. Okay, kicking us off with number 1. And this claim might hit home for quite a few people. Poor people watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, this is one that often comes up in these kinds of discussions.
And the source pulls no punches here. It makes this rather provocative assertion. I mean, it actually says, if you have time to watch reality TV, you're probably poor. Pretty blunt.
Wow, okay. That's direct.
It paints TV as this insidious distraction that grabs you and doesn't let go. It specifically calls out knowing celebrity gossip or religiously following episodic shows week after week.
So the binge-watching culture, essentially.
Yeah, and even having a favorite news channel is flagged as potentially problematic.
It's really about passive consumption, isn't it? What's the source really getting at here, do you think?
Well, it absolutely is about passive consumption.
Right.
But the why it matters part, according to the source, is deeply tied to this idea of opportunity cost.
Right, what you're not doing while you're watching TV.
Exactly. The source isn't just saying TV is inherently bad. It's arguing that things like celebrity gossip and, endless TV series offer no value to your life. They might serve the celebrities or the network's bottom line, but not you directly.
The core issue, as the source puts it, is that watching TV helps you disconnect from your problems instead of dealing with them and getting them out of the way.
Ah, so it's escapism as avoidance.
That seems to be the argument. Think about it. Every hour spent passively consuming is an hour not spent actively, say, learning something new or planning your finances or exercising or even building a side hustle.
Or just thinking, strategizing.
Precisely. The source implicitly challenges us, you, the listener, to consider if that passive screen time truly aligns with a productive path, especially when you think about the alternative ways you could be investing that time.
Developing a skill, networking.
Planning your future. It's not just wasted time in their view, it's potentially reshaping our mental habits. It might be conditioning our brains for like instant gratification rather than the sustained effort that's often needed for long-term goals, including prosperity.
That's a powerful challenge. And you mentioned the news channel point. I found that particularly interesting.
Yes, it singles that out too.
It argues that having a favorite news channel is problematic because of inherent bias. It actually says TV stations always pick their own magenta, their own slant, their own angle.
Which, many media critics would agree with.
Right. So instead, it suggests using the internet for just a quick, maybe unbiased glimpse of what's happening, get the headlines, and then move on. Don't get sucked into the commentary or the spin.
So efficiency and objectivity in information gathering.
Seems like it. So the question for you listening right now isn't just about entertainment TV. It's about how you engage with information generally. How much time do you spend on passive consumption, whether that's reality shows or maybe even biased news cycles, versus active problem solving or personal growth?
It's a good moment for reflection, definitely. Where are those precious hours consistently going?
Okay, moving from what we consume with our eyes and ears to what we put into our bodies. Habit number 2. Poor people eat fast food.
Another potentially controversial one touching on diet and socioeconomic links.
And again, the source makes a direct, pretty stark link between food choices and overall well-being. It states quite bluntly that poor people have no interest in knowing what's in their food, nor do they understand nutrition or what an actual healthy meal should look like.
That sounds like a very broad generalization.
It is, and remember the source's own caveat about exceptions. But the core argument is about a perceived disconnection from, or maybe a lack of knowledge about, what fuels the body and mind effectively.
Okay, so what are the claimed consequences of this?
Well, it doesn't just stop at a perceived lack of knowledge. The source goes further. It describes how poor people are, and this is a direct quote, blasting their brains with large quantities of sugar and fats with no nutritional value.
Strong language.
Very. It argues they are actively ruining their bodies. And as a direct result, they cannot perform at 100% of their potential. That's a huge claim, a direct link between fast food and reduced capability.
Wow. So the argument is essentially that poor diet limits your ability to function optimally.
Exactly. That seems to be the crux of it. The source posits that if you're not healthy, all aspects of your life are directly affected. You'll suffer physically, mentally, professionally.
Even romantically, it mentioned.
Even romantically, yes. It argues that health is absolutely foundational. Foundational for productivity, for success in any endeavor.
And if you think about it, there's some logic there, isn't there? The specific nutritional profile of a lot of fast food. High sugar can lead to energy crashes, difficulty focusing.
Right, the sugar highs and lows.
And unhealthy fats, over time, research suggests they can impact cognitive function. A body struggling with poor nutrition, well, it often leads to a sluggish mind, reduced energy, maybe more irritability, higher stress levels.
All things that would definitely hinder your ability to work effectively or learn or grow.
Absolutely. So the hidden costs of consistently eating unhealthily, according to this argument, extend far beyond just the money you spend on the food itself. It impacts your long-term potential, your human capital, really.
Your capacity to earn and thrive.
Exactly. While fast food offers convenience and sometimes seems cheaper up front.
Keyword.
Seems. Right. The source implicitly challenges us to look beyond that immediate cost and convenience to the compounded long-term impact on our physical and mental reserves.
Okay, next up. Number 3. This one is really counterintuitive for a lot of people, I think. Especially those of us who pride ourselves on being frugal. Poor people buy clothes or products that are on sale.
Yes. This one definitely challenges conventional wisdom about saving money.
It stopped me in my tracks a bit because the source dramatically states the only thing you should buy on sale are stocks.
That's a bold statement. So forget Black Friday deals on clothes or electronics.
Apparently so, according to this source. Why? What's the reasoning?
Well, this point isn't really about shaming frugality itself. It's more about analyzing what the source sees as a fundamental difference in underlying mindset.
Okay, mindset again.
Yes. The source highlights that while poor people are looking to conserve or stretch the little that they have, the rich are focused on increasing their incomes. So it's about where your primary focus lies.
Saving versus earning.
Exactly. This habit of constantly seeking sales on consumer goods, according to the source, reinforces a scarcity mindset. a focus on what's lacking, how to make it last.
Rather than an abundance mindset, which looks to expand resources and opportunities.
Precisely. And it makes a rather pointed, maybe even snarky observation about clothes on sale specifically. It says they are the ones that people who could afford to pay the full price didn't want.
Ouch. A bit harsh, maybe.
It is hard, but the argument follows that by buying these unwanted sale items, you're, and I quote again, just making sure that you're looking exactly like someone who can't afford to pay the full price.
So it's suggesting it reinforces a certain identity or self-perception of being, well, limited.
That seems to be the implication. The underlying philosophy here is that your resources, including your time and energy, might be better spent generating more income rather than chasing marginal savings on consumer goods. Goods that might not even represent true quality or lasting value.
That's a fascinating take, isn't it? It really flips the script on bargain hunting.
It does. It suggests your shopping strategy isn't just about saving a few pounds or dollars. It might reflect something deeper about your financial mindset.
So the question for you, the listener, becomes, is your primary focus on saving pennies here and there, or are you consistently thinking about how to earn more dollars, how to build wealth?
It's a powerful question. What does your buying behavior actually reflect? A strategy for accumulation or a strategy for just conserving what little you might feel you have?
All right, moving into the realm of daily habits now. Number 4, poor people wake up later.
The early bird versus the night owl debate, framed economically.
Exactly. And the source makes a pretty bold claim here. It states, poor people are often lazier than the rich in the early days, and then asserts, almost as fact, statistically, it's the truth.
Okay, lazier is a loaded term, and statistically it's the truth, requires some evidence, which isn't provided here, but that's the claim.
That's the claim. It really hammers home this idea of using your youth, and indeed every single day, for growth, for self-improvement, seizing the day, quite literally.
And this leads to what the course calls a paradox. It suggests that people who don't focus on growth in their early days, they actually end up working a lot harder with a little success rate later in life just to stay afloat.
So sacrificing sleep early on prevents harder struggles later.
That's the argument. It posits that if you wake up late, don't educate yourself, waste time on meaningless activities, you'll eventually find yourself, quote, so far behind what the world needs from you that you'll end up miserable.
Wow, that's a bleak outlook.
It is. The early hours of the day, according to the source, represent prime time. Prime time for focused, undisturbed work or planning or self-development, before the chaos of the day really sets in.
Before the emails start flooding in, the phone starts ringing.
Exactly. The source then cites examples of highly successful people, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, all known for being early risers. It attributes their intense productivity partly to leveraging those quiet morning hours.
Building discipline. Seizing that advantage.
It's about building consistent discipline, yes, and seizing the cumulative advantage that small, early efforts can compound over time. It's the compound effect applied to your daily schedule.
So the question for you listening is, are you consistently investing in your future self daily, even with something as seemingly simple as what time your alarm goes off?
What kind of discipline are you cultivating right at the start of your day? Is it proactive or reactive?
Point number 5. And, this one might be a bit uncomfortable for many of us, especially in cultures where sports are huge. Poor people are really into sports.
Yeah, this one can definitely ruffle some feathers. Watching the game is a major pastime for millions.
Zillions, probably.
Yeah.
But the source argues pretty bluntly, unless you're a professional athlete or an owner of one of the teams, there's really no reason for you to watch sports.
Okay, that's taking a hard line. No passive enjoyment allowed.
It seems to lump it in with television generally as another significant form of, well, escapism, distraction.
Right, so it connects back strongly to that broader theme of escapism and opportunity cost we talked about with TV.
Exactly. What's the core argument here, specifically about sports?
The core argument seems to be that watching sports puts you as an individual fan in a position where you have no impact on the outcome of the game, zero impact. You're purely passive.
Okay, that's objectively true for most fans.
And the source suggests that this behavior, this passive spectatorship, can then sort of stick with you. It can translate into becoming a spectator in life instead of being a player or an owner.
Ah, so it's a metaphor for life engagement.
That seems to be the idea. And from that spectator position, it argues, you might then start criticizing other people, the players, the coaches, maybe even people in your own life when you yourself haven't done anything better.
So, armchair quarterbacking, applied broadly.
Pretty much. The source challenges the idea that vicarious living, living through others' achievements, whether it's athletes or celebrities, is really a productive use of your limited time and mental energy.
It's not saying don't enjoy things, perhaps, but
But maybe critically evaluate if your primary mode of engagement in life is passive observation rather than active participation. Is it about watching the game or playing your game?
which raises an important question, doesn't it? Where are you a spectator in your own life?
Mm-hmm.
Where could you maybe step onto the field, become a player, actively try to shape the outcome instead of just watching or critiquing from the sidelines?
It's about channeling that energy, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the passion you have for a team and applying it to your own goals.
Food for thought. Okay, number 6. Now here's one that, on the surface, seems almost ridiculous. The source even admits it initially thought this was just a made-up fact.
Oh, I'm intrigued now. What is it?
It turns out, according to the source, to be true and amazingly. It explains a lot when you really think about it. The habit is, poor people don't shower as often.
Okay, wow. That is unexpected. Linking personal hygiene to prosperity. How do they even make that connection?
It does seem like a leap, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the source tries to explain the underlying ramifications it sees in modern society.
Go on.
It argues that most of the jobs today are in the service industries where human contact is a must. Think retail, hospitality, sales, healthcare, even office work.
Right, people-facing roles.
Exactly. And the source argues that a lack of good personal hygiene, not showering regularly, maybe body odor, unkempt appearance, can lead to people trusting you less.
Subconscious biases, perhaps?
Maybe. It suggests people might want to spend less time in your presence, which could obviously impact professional relationships, networking, sales.
And personal relationships, too, presumably. Even attraction, as it mentioned earlier.
Yes. So the early morning shower, according to this source, isn't just about being clean. It becomes symbolic, a first step to success.
How so? Symbolic of what?
It symbolizes self-care, discipline, a commitment to presenting yourself effectively to the world. It's about showing up ready, looking sharp, signaling respect for yourself and for the people you interact with.
So it's about the subtle cues we send out, a fresh appearance, a proactive routine. These things can subtly, maybe powerfully, influence how others perceive your reliability, your professionalism, your overall capability.
That seems to be the argument.
Mm-hmm.
It underscores how basic self-care can be foundational to building social capital, opening doors, making good first impressions, things that do contribute to success.
Interesting. A very unexpected angle.
Okay, shifting gears now more firmly into mindset for number 7. Poor people blame others for their circumstances or misfortunes.
Ah, the blame game. This is a common theme in self-help and psychology.
It is. And the source asks quite pointedly, how many people do you know that have some sort of excuse or blame other factors for not being successful yet?
We probably all know someone like that. Maybe we even do it ourselves sometimes.
Right. And while the source acknowledges that some things are genuinely out of our control, you don't choose where you're born, your parents, maybe systemic barriers exist.
A crucial acknowledgement.
Yes. But despite that, it insists that 99% of your life is on you. A huge emphasis on personal accountability.
This really dives into that core psychological concept, doesn't it? Locus of control.
Explain that a bit.
Well, the source suggests that those struggling financially tend to exhibit an external locus of control, meaning they believe outside forces, luck, other people, the system, fate, are primarily responsible for what happens to them.
They see themselves as victims of circumstance.
Essentially, yes. In contrast, the rich described here operate with an internal locus of control. They believe they are largely responsible for shaping their own destiny through their actions, their choices, their responses.
Taking ownership.
Exactly. The source states it emphatically. You are in charge of your life. You are in charge of your relationships. You are in charge of your health. If you want these things to change, you have to do something about it.
No waiting for a rescue.
Precisely. It contrasts the poor's tendency to, quote, victimize themselves when something bad happens, with the rich who apparently look into it, study it, they seek to find out what happened, why it happened, and how they can protect from it in the future.
So one sees victimhood, the other sees a lesson. A growing point, as the source calls it.
That's the dichotomy presented. It definitely raises an important question for all of us, doesn't it? When you face a setback, what's your default reaction? Do you look for an excuse, someone or something to blame? Or do you look for the lesson, the takeaway, the path forward that you control?
Cultivating that internal locus of control seems fundamental to what the source is driving at.
It seems to be a recurring theme, absolutely. Taking responsibility.
Okay, number 8 highlights a critical financial difference. Poor people have no money saved.
The savings habit, or lack thereof, this is a big one in personal finance.
The source puts it very plainly. The former don't get ready for what's next. This isn't just about having a small rainy day fund for emergencies, is it? The source implies something more.
It's far more than just a basic emergency fund, according to this argument. Having money put aside, the source explains, allows for two crucial things: growth and problem solving.
Okay, explain the difference.
Well, the problem-solving part is the obvious one. If something bad happens, you lose your job, the car breaks down, a medical crisis hits if you have savings, the problem is solved and you can resume your life, maybe with some stress, but without catastrophic disruption.
Right, the buffer absorbs the shock.
Exactly. But without savings, if the situation is urgent, you might have to, as the source puts it, liquidate an asset like your car, house, etc., or you can take a loan.
Which has major consequences.
Huge consequences. It means your lifestyle takes a dramatic hit, or worse, you now belong to the creditor, potentially trapped in a debt spiral just to cover the emergency.
Okay, that's the problem solving, the defensive aspect. What about the growth?
This is where the opportunity aspect comes in. When an opportunity arises, maybe a chance to invest in something promising, or start a small side business, or pay for training to get a better job.
Things that could genuinely improve your situation long term.
Precisely. Those with money saved now have the chance to expand their lives, while others, even if they see the same opportunity, simply can't afford to take full advantage. They're stuck.
And this, the source argues, is a key reason why the rich are growing richer while the poor are getting poorer. One group can seize opportunities, the other can't.
It creates a widening gap. Savings provide both that protective shield against bad stuff happening and the springboard to jump on good stuff when it appears. It fundamentally alters your financial trajectory.
It makes saving sound less like a passive thing and more like an active tool for life management.
That's exactly the perspective the source seems to promote.
Building on that idea of financial management, number 9 is, poor people use credit cards or take out loans for useless things.
The misuse of debt. Another classic personal finance pitfall.
And the source offers a really simple, almost stark rule here, a kind of maxim. If you take out a loan to buy something that doesn't generate more money than the loan, don't take it.
Wow, that cuts out a lot of consumer borrowing, doesn't it? Cars, holidays, furniture.
Pretty much. It uses examples like taking out a loan for a big screen TV, or the latest trendy fashion item like Supreme gear, or even just the newest iPhone if you don't strictly need it for income generation.
So it really challenges the whole culture of consumer debt.
It seems to. How does it say the rich approach credit differently?
Well, this ties back to the savings point. The source argues the rich approach credit strategically, not primarily as a means to fund consumption, but as a tool for leverage and investment.
Using debt to make money, essentially.
Exactly. They only use credit, the argument goes, if what you'll be using it for is an investment that generates more money than the cost of the loan itself. Buying rental property, maybe, or funding a business venture.
Okay. And the source is very specific about those consumer goods examples, right?
Yes, it gives clear exceptions. It says, unless you're flipping the Supreme gear for profit, or you're using your iPhone to develop a new app to grow your business, those items should not be on your credit.
So distinguishing between debt for assets income versus debt for liabilities consumption.
Precisely. Good debt versus bad debt. The straightforward alternative offered for those consumer wants. Earn the money and then spend it. Simple, but requires discipline.
Delayed gratification strikes again.
It's a recurring theme, so this forces a reevaluation for you, the listener. When you think about using credit or taking a loan, is it truly a tool for growth and investment in your future? Or is it potentially a trap of funding immediate consumption that leads to future financial strain?
It's a call for significant financial discipline, really thinking about the purpose of debt before taking it on.
Absolutely. Debt as a strategic tool, not a lifestyle enabler.
Okay, number 10. This is undoubtedly a sensitive point, but the source presents it as statistically based. Poor people tend to have more kids and earlier in life.
Right. This touches on demographics, family planning, and economics. Definitely sensitive territory.
And the source doesn't mince words about the financial implications. It states, kids are really, really expensive. Very blunt.
Which, objectively, raising children does involve significant costs.
Yes. It even cites an approximate figure for developed countries around $250,000 to raise one child to adulthood. That's a huge long-term financial commitment.
So how does the source link this to the rich-poor divide? What's the argument?
It suggests that because of a lack of education, that environment, and other factors, which is quite vague, admittedly, poor people tend to have more children and have them at a younger age compared to their richer counterparts.
Okay, so it's attributing it to external factors and environment, partly.
It seems so. It then contrasts this with the rich, who, according to the source, tend to wait a couple of years until their standards of living improve in order to assure the right environment and prime conditions for their child to flourish.
So implying more strategic planning and consideration of economic readiness among the wealthy?
That's the implication. Again, this isn't presented as a judgment on family size or personal choices per se, but more as an observation about the timing and the economic context surrounding those decisions.
And the consequences. What does the source say happens as a result of having kids earlier in less financially stable circumstances?
The consequence, according to the source, is that once the baby comes, the struggling begins just so they can stay afloat and progress beyond barely surviving is almost impossible to achieve.
Wow. So it paints a picture of being immediately overwhelmed financially.
Yes, it highlights the immense economic pressures that early or unplanned parenthood can introduce. Pressures that could potentially derail education, career progression, the ability to save, basically making it incredibly difficult to build any wealth beyond just getting by day to day.
It really underscores how major life decisions, even deeply personal ones like starting a family, have profound and lasting financial implications that maybe aren't always fully considered beforehand.
Especially the timing aspect in relation to financial stability.
Right. Planning versus reacting, perhaps.
Okay, let's shift back to health for number 11. This ties back into that foundational idea of, your body is your primary asset. The habit is poor people do not do regular checks. Doctors.
Preventative health care. Or the lack of it.
Exactly. The source emphasizes that poor people often do not get themselves checked regularly, neglecting checkups, screenings, dental visits, that sort of thing.
And what's the claimed link to prosperity here beyond just feeling better?
Well, the source illustrates it with a pretty stark example. It asks you to imagine developing a serious disease, like cancer.
Okay.
If you do regular checkups, it explains, you'll discover it in early stages. When that happens, treatment is often possible at a lower cost. And crucially, the chances of success, of survival, are much higher.
Early detection saves lives and money. That makes sense.
Right. But if you neglect those checkups, you might discover it only when it's too late, when the disease is advanced.
A devastating scenario.
Absolutely. In that situation, the source says it will cost both you and your entire family a fortune. Not just the direct medical bills, which can be astronomical.
But also lost income, maybe a partner having to stop work to care for you, the immense stress, the burden on loved ones.
Exactly. And the ultimate cost, the source points out, is that no matter how much money you have at that late stage, you might still lose your life.
A powerful reminder that health is wealth, quite literally.
It really underscores that investing in your health through preventative care isn't just about feeling good day to day. It's a critical long-term investment in your future capacity, your capacity to earn, to live productively, to enjoy life, and to avoid potentially devastating financial and personal losses down the road.
It's proactive self-management of your most valuable asset, your physical and mental well-being. Ignoring it is taking a huge gamble, according to this view.
Okay. Number 12 hits on another fundamental financial principle that trips a lot of people up. Poor people spend money before they get it.
Living beyond your means, essentially. Using future income for present spending.
Precisely. The source calls this one of the biggest dangers in life. It's about spending money before you have it, or maybe more subtly, acquiring expenses before you're able to pay them. Signing up for subscriptions, contracts, financing deals.
Things that commit future you to payments.
Exactly. And the source argues this is a direct path to a negative spiral. Why is it so dangerous?
Well, the source explains the immediate negative consequence. The second you start doing this consistently, your life starts to spiral down because you're always playing catch-up.
Constantly behind.
Yes. It gives a very direct rule, similar to the debt rule. If you don't have money for something that you're willing to part with without affecting your life, then you can't afford it.
Meaning, if you don't have the cash sitting there, ready to spend without causing hardship elsewhere, you can't afford it.
That's the gist. The advice is incredibly simple and direct. Go back to work and then get it.
Earn it first, then buy it.
It's a foundational principle of financial discipline, isn't it? That core battle between immediate gratification wanting it now versus delayed gratification waiting until you can truly afford it.
And people who consistently spend money they don't have yet are perpetually chasing their tail.
Exactly. They're accumulating debt, generating stress, limiting their future options because every future pound or dollar earned is already earmarked for yesterday's spending.
It erodes financial security completely.
It reinforces that cycle where financial freedom just feels impossible, always just out of reach, because you're constantly servicing past consumption instead of building for the future.
Makes sense. Okay, moving to our social environment for number 13. Poor people surround themselves with other poor people.
Ah, the influence of your peer group. Jim Rohn's famous quote comes to mind.
You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. And the source puts it even more bluntly. If you're surrounded by 4 poor people, guess who's the 5th?
Stark. It's a strong reminder of the power of social influence, for better or worse.
Definitely. How does the source explain the mechanism here? Why is this supposedly a habit that keeps people poor?
It argues that associating primarily with others who reinforce their core beliefs is one of the ways people make sure they stay poor. It's not just about shared financial status. It's about the shared mindset, the habits, the conversations that get normalized within that group.
So if your circle is constantly complaining, blaming others, avoiding responsibility, maybe discouraging ambition, then that becomes your reality. That thinking feels normal, even correct. It makes it harder to break out and adopt different habits or perspectives.
Like crabs in a bucket, maybe, pulling each other back down.
That's a common analogy used for this idea. The source stresses the necessity, if you want to change your circumstances, of having people around you that will inspire you and push you further, that are doing incredible things themselves.
Why? What's the benefit of that?
Because their success, their drive, their different way of thinking will only motivate you to exceed your current reality. They challenge you, they offer new perspectives, maybe they present opportunities you wouldn't have encountered otherwise.
Exposure to different possibilities.
Exactly. The advice from the source is quite direct here. Don't be afraid to step away from a crowd and move on to something better, even if that crowd includes longtime friends or family, if they're holding you back.
That can be incredibly difficult advice to follow in real life.
Extremely difficult. But the source warns that if you don't make that difficult choice, your potential will probably be crushed by those who want to feel better about their miserable lives by making sure you suffer the same fate.
Wow, that's quite a charge against negative social circles, protecting their own status quo by keeping others down.
It's a harsh assessment, but it serves as a powerful call for you, the listener, to take an honest look at your inner circle, your closest influences. Are they elevating you, supporting your aspirations, or are they perhaps inadvertently holding you back by reinforcing limiting beliefs or habits?
A tough but potentially crucial assessment to make.
Very much so. Who you spend your time with matters.
Now, to a crucial point about action versus inaction.
Yeah.
Number 14. Poor people never follow through on their ideas or potential.
The gap between intention and execution, this is huge.
Huge. The source reminds us again, you can't control who your parents are, where you're born, how society might treat you initially. But the only thing you can control is the amount of hours you put into your dream.
Everyone gets the same 24 hours in a day. That's the great equalizer.
Exactly. And yet, as the source notes, some do a lot more than others with those same 24 hours. This point really addresses that fundamental difference between just having ideas and actually acting on them.
The world is full of great ideas that never went anywhere.
Precisely. And the source offers a really powerful statement to drive this home. It says, you've heard that 9 out of 10 businesses fail in their first 3 years. Well, do you know how many businesses fail because they never got started?
I have a feeling I know the answer.
The answer is all of them.
Right. Failure by default, simply by not starting. That's profound.
It's a strong call to action, isn't it? It emphasizes that the biggest barrier to success often isn't lack of talent or money or even opportunity. It's simply inaction. Fear of failure, procrastination, waiting for the perfect moment.
Which never comes.
Exactly. The call to action from the source is crystal clear. If you have an idea, work on it, put it out, get feedback, improve it, launch again and again and again. Don't wait for perfection.
Embrace the iterative process. Learn by doing.
Yes. And the source even gives its own example, which I found interesting. It states it took them 3 years of writing thousands of articles on Alex Calm presumably their earlier platform, before we decided to take the jump and make videos here on YouTube.
So they practiced what they preach: persistence, iteration over a long period.
It illustrates that principle perfectly. Success rarely comes from a single, flawless launch. It usually comes from consistent effort, learning from the things that don't work, and continuously refining your approach based on real-world feedback.
So the question for you, the listener, is: what ideas are you sitting on? What potential are you not acting on? Maybe waiting for that mythical perfect moment or guaranteed success.
The source suggests the biggest failure is the failure to even try.
Start now, learn as you go.
Okay, number 15, our final habit before the bonus. This one carries a strong, almost starkly independent message. Poor people believe that others should help them reach the top.
Ah, the entitlement versus self-reliance argument.
Exactly. This source states it unequivocally. The world doesn't owe you anything. Nobody does. Believe it or not, you're in this by yourself. You are in charge of what happens in your life.
That's a pretty bracing message. No safety nets expected.
It seems to be pushing back against any sense of entitlement or waiting for external rescue. It connects back to that locus of control idea again, doesn't it?
Very strongly. It addresses that perhaps youthful belief that success is somehow inevitable, or that the government, society, family, luck will eventually step in and make things right for you.
Versus what the source calls the reality happens moment.
Right, the moment where you realize that fundamentally you are the primary driver of your own life's outcomes. The world we live in, the source states, rewards only the best, those that never quit, those that keep learning, keep adapting, and understand that nobody will solve their problems for them.
So it's a meritocracy perspective, essentially.
Yeah.
Reward goes to effort and persistence.
That's the framing here. Now, this isn't meant to be a harsh or cruel message, necessarily. The source seems to intend it as an empowering one.
How so?
Because when you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you, or provide the solution, or give you permission, you unlock your own agency, your own power to act.
You take the reins yourself.
Exactly. The path forward, according to this view, is clear. Face your problems head on, and along the way you might meet people who feel the same way and might share parts of the journey with you. Collaboration happens, but responsibility starts with you.
But if you don't face them head on,
then, the source warns, you risk being a part of that majority that's meant to fail, stuck in waiting mode.
so it's about cultivating that mindset of proactive problem solving, self-determinism, understanding that while support systems are valuable and mentors can help, the ultimate responsibility for your success or failure lies with you.
No one is coming to save you, so you better start rowing your own boat. That's the core message.
It's a strong message indeed. Okay, and now, the bonus fact. The one that the source apparently held back initially because it's potentially controversial.
Right, let's hear it.
Bonus fact. Poor people are a lot more religious than rich people.
Ah, okay. Yes, that is definitely wading into controversial waters. Religion, faith, and socioeconomic status. How does the source frame this claim?
It states it quite directly, framing it as a statistical observation. Statistically speaking, successful people rely on their own forces for their well-being, while the poor hopes that a mythical forest, their phrase, will somehow reward them for being a good person.
Okay, that phrasing mythical forest is obviously quite dismissive and provocative. But the core claim is about reliance. Self-reliance versus reliance on, let's say, divine intervention for material success.
That seems to be the distinction it's drawing. Now, it's crucial to understand the source isn't necessarily dismissing spiritual belief or faith itself, or making a theological argument about whether God exists or not.
Right, it's focused on the perceived impact on real-world action and expectation.
Exactly. From this perspective, it seems to be questioning whether someone's primary reliance for achieving material success in this world is placed on their own personal action, effort, and agency.
Or on external, non-material forces, maybe coupled with a passive expectation of reward just for being good or faithful.
Right. And the source does add a bit of nuance here. It clarifies that even though you might see presidents or CEOs mentioning God in speeches,
Which happens often, particularly in some cultures.
yes, it suggests they are not really religious in the specific sense of relying primarily on divine intervention for their business success or political power.
So maybe using religious language for cultural or political reasons, rather than it being their core operating principle for achieving goals.
That's the implication. It offers Mark Zuckerberg as an example, stating he identified as an atheist for most of his life, but then decided to change his stance. Possibly, the source speculates, due to political aspirations, implying that public statements about faith might sometimes serve a strategic purpose.
Okay, so it's really doubling down on that theme of agency and self-reliance being the key driver for the successful as defined by the source.
It seems that way. We're presenting this point, like all the others, exactly as it appears in the source, as part of our impartial exploration of its arguments. It's certainly a thought-provoking, if controversial, final point.
Definitely leaves you thinking about the interplay between faith, agency, and expectations regarding worldly success.
So let's try and pull all this together. What does it all mean? This whole deep dive into pathways to prosperity, habits of the rich and poor. It certainly offers a challenging perspective, doesn't it?
Extremely challenging for many, I'd imagine. It confronts a lot of common habits and beliefs head on.
But ultimately, I think the underlying message is intended to be an empowering one. It seems less focused on external factors that you can't control, like where you were born or who your parents are.
And much more focused on the internal things you can control. Your habits, your mindset, the choices you make every single day.
Right. It's not meant to shame anyone for their current situation. Not at all. But rather to foster self-awareness. Maybe provide some potential areas for personal improvement. It suggests the path to prosperity, as defined by this source, is paved by intentional daily habits and a fundamental mindset of ownership and responsibility.
And if these habits, or even just some of them, truly do correlate with financial outcomes as strongly as the source suggests, then the logical next question for you, the listener, is, what's one small, concrete habit shift you could realistically make starting today that might have the biggest positive ripple effect on your long-term prosperity?
That's a great question. Not trying to change everything overnight.
No, definitely not. Just one thing. Consider which of these 15 habits or the bonus point resonated most with you. Or perhaps which one made you feel the most uncomfortable. Often that discomfort points towards an area ripe for exploration.
Where the potential for growth lies.
Exactly. Why did that particular point hit a nerve? That self-inquiry can be the best starting point for initiating genuine, lasting change in your own life.
That's a fantastic final thought to leave people with. Really mull that over.
Thank you for joining us on this rather provocative deep dive today.
Absolutely. It's been a truly insightful discussion. Full of challenging ideas, yes, but potentially transformative ones too, if you approach them with an open mind.
Hopefully useful food for thought.
Definitely. So, thanks for watching this. See you in the next episode. Like, subscribe, and share.